Alright, hey folks, welcome back to another Eurofront game. We're now in the month of April 1943. This is now I've been talking about this, but I would argue that by this stage in the war, the initiative is somewhat scattered. This is the reason why the so-called turning points of the war are a little difficult to use to kind of gauge who's winning the war, because depending on what part of the war you're looking at, what sector, what front, it varies quite a bit. And also, I would argue perspective too, because there's a number of battles in which you may have the strategic initiative, but you still end up losing the battle. And so that's like another complicated theme, and it all comes back to scaling. But this is April 1943. Historically, we're now in the post-Stalingrad period, but this is pre-Kursk, pre-Battle of Kursk, or also known as Operation Citadel. And then this is also before the U-boats suffer like really heavy casualties. So, frankly, yes, the Allies were winning by now, but it wasn't crystal clear that they were completely dominating all the fronts. Maybe by this stage, everyone sort of knew that that sooner or later Germany was going to lose the war. It's just a matter of when and how long, because there was no clear end in sight. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves now. Is the German army may regain a strategic initiative on the Eastern Front in 1943. I would argue that in our scenario, the German army has done much better. In fact, they're still holding on to at least a portion of. They actually did not lose any territory in Batumi. They still hold on to Batumi, in fact. So it's, we kind of were slow with the Soviets there, but no real Soviet counteroffensive. And the reason why I forewent a Soviet offensive, which may or may not have been the better move, but I just wanted to achieve strategic parity with the German army. And I think with the events that took place in the wintertime, I think it's pretty clear that that wasn't the case. So I'm actually going to turn on my little mouse highlight here. Nice. Yeah, and so I'm talking about this sector over here, and it was kind of like a seesaw, and it's kind of been like that really since the end of Operation Barbarossa. It was the only real sector the Soviets regained territory, and then they lost it in the summer. I believe, they lost it big time in the summer. They temporarily retook it in the winter, only to lose it again once more. So it's been interesting how the main battle has been around here. No real Soviet offensive at Smolensk, and no counteroffensive really anywhere else. And maybe it's in part because the losses were really high during the summer, much higher, I would argue, in our game than in the historical scenario. So we still saw a Soviet 1943 offensive, but it was only in one sector of the front, and it wasn't along multiple sectors as it was historically, pretty much. So anyways, that requires more study, I would argue, and it really deserves its own just clear visual analyses, because so much was going on, right? I mean, this game alone, there's a lot to keep track of. I find myself getting pretty overwhelmed trying to just manage not just the game, but also the outcomes, right? Because I'm trying to I have certain strategic goals in mind, and it's hard to even play them out. So, there's that variance in this game, right? With the weather combined with the actual battles themselves. Although I would argue, I guess the battles are critical in this game, but I would argue that the harder part has been strategy. Although I guess recently we saw some really bizarre dice, right? We saw the Soviets just smash the German army, and then the German army, in response, launched this weird counteroffensive that worked, where we just pinned down the Red Army, and then it actually paid off because the Red Army really had no reserves. So it was kind of a gamble with the Red Army, their own offensive. They kind of they basically overextended themselves. So now that we're in April, we will start with Soviet production, and just pretty much focus on the main theme of build, build, build. Right, the next month may be clear weather. I decided to just do a full retreat with the Soviets, right, and make sure that we fall back to a line that we feel confident in holding. And I'm really hoping to have these three areas just be stacked up with Soviet units. In fact, these two as well. These 5 sectors, I just need them to be stacked up with Soviet units at full strength. Okay, this thing of having them under strength doesn't work. They need to be full strength so that it's basically just this red wall that completely blocks the German army. And then if we can do that, then we can actually start building up other areas and then use those other areas to maybe exploit a weakness in the German line. That's the idea that I have with the Red Army, but it's a building program. It's not really a maneuver program. I just don't really feel confident attacking with the Soviets just yet. And even here, I mean, even in this southern sector, I realized that I got all these mech units, which are good for defense. They're great for defense, but I need more firepower for offense, right? I ideally have an armored unit with some double fire. I don't have a single double fire unit here, other than this mountain unit, right? But if I attack, we'll have the numerical advantage, but we won't have the firepower advantage. Maybe the air power. Maybe I'm underestimating Soviet air power. Could be. We do have air power. So, anyways, Soviet production is 61, and a lot of only three dead Soviet infantry armies remaining, right? And then we got this coastal army unit. I mean, it is, special unit, but I don't see it being used anywhere right now. We also have another mech corps, and then we have these tank corps. These units I think are going to be the secret to the Soviet success. The only problem is that they're expensive. They're very expensive. Each one of them costs 8 to build. But I know that if we have enough of them, I could actually make this whole Soviet wing, I could double its firepower pretty much. That's exactly what I'm doing. With just one unit, I double the firepower because they're all double fire units, and that would really boost the Soviets. We would actually have a fair chance of smashing this German line right now, which frankly it's only single. So the German army, I've been playing it very conservative with the German army, and so there's all this empty space right between both armies. Well, I think the Soviets, it's really up to the Soviets to close the gap, because then the German army is trying. We're trying to have a tight defense with the German army right now, and the Ukraine is the primary industrial sector of the war so far, without a doubt. Ukraine, if you add up all the production points, 1, 2, 3, 4, doubling the access, demands for resources, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, Ukraine altogether, including Rostov, is 14 production points, which keep in mind that it's not just a boost in 14, you're also taking it away from the enemy. So it's actually a difference of 28 production points between the Soviets and the Wehrmacht. So that's really big. So this game, according to this game, the takeaway would be that this game is suggesting that whoever controls Ukraine has a substantial production advantage. 28 production points is enough to rebuild a bunch of infantry, right? So that's interesting. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Red Army is struggling right now is that we don't have enough production. Maybe, I guess what happened historically was that once the Red Army took Ukraine, their industry did get a boost, and that boost was what allowed them to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, eventually into Poland, eventually into, we'll call it Central Europe, and eventually pushing, all the way to Berlin, right? But that in conjunction with, say, Allied Lend-Lease, right? All the trucks and I guess the boots as well. So anyways, Soviet production 61. Obvious Buildustavka, building up all our HQs. We have the central front's HQs stacked up. Let's build up this HQ as well. No, I'll hold off for that. I'll hold off on that for now. So that was 20. Okay, so I spent 20. I have 41 left. And let's go ahead and just build up as much. So that's now down to 38. Down to 34. 32. 29. Hmm. 26. Yeah, we got to build up the armor. That's why. The armor is just very pricey. So, but I should build these up by level 1 each. So that's now, we're down to 14 now. From 26 down to 14. It's a big drop. Down to 10. 7. Now I'm down to 4. And just like that, I mean, I've spent all my production, you know, and I haven't even changed anything. I haven't even built any new units. It just goes to show how expensive the Soviet units really are. Ooh, and there's more armor to build. Oh, I guess that's the last build. I'm thinking maybe we cancel one of these HQ builds so that we can still build up a few more units. Let's cancel this HQ. And I think we have enough HQs to hold the line. I may even cancel Stavka. I think that should be reasonable. That gives me 20 production points now as a boost. And I think it's worth it that we build that up. So I'm going to do that. So anyways, I spent 2 up there. I'm going to spend another infantry over here. So that's another 4. So I have 14 left now. 14 production points left for the Soviet army. Okay. Right. Build up that infantry, I guess. That brings me down to 12. Now I actually feel like I have a surplus. I don't even know what to spend it on. I'll cancel that, and I'm actually just going to build up 1 armor. I kind of want to build up 2 armor. But I need to cancel a build somewhere. I need 16 to build this up right now. I wonder if we want to launch a counteroffensive over here at some point. I don't know. I feel like the Red Army is completely shattered over here, but maybe a counteroffensive would be good. I would probably want to take Leningrad first. I don't know. I mean, is it? I think the priority should be Ukraine right now. Gain the production, and then we can attack in other places. I think that's pretty clear. So. Don't think the Germans are attacking up here. So I'm going to build these 2 armor. And I guess we'll put them in Stalingrad. So I have 3 tank units here. I'm really stacking up on armor. Maybe I focus on a little bit of infantry actually. The infantry are just not very good in open terrain, I'm starting to realize. It's taking me this long to realize don't use infantry units in the clear terrain. They're just not very fast, and they don't help in the winter at all. I need mobile units in the winter. And so it's better to have armor and like mech, because they're a lot more fluid. So I'm actually going to cancel this build. Cancel one of the armor. Build this guy up. And then that leaves me with 5. Let's build up his cavalry. Now I'm left with 2, and then we'll build this guy up again. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the Soviets. Pretty simple. Well, not really. It was very complex, but also I'm risking not even activating Stavka right now. I hope it's worth it. I'm presuming the German army is not going to launch an offensive this summer. I'm under the presumption that they're not, and if they do, we have enough of a strategic, flexible line here to at least withdraw to better positions if necessary. Although I don't have a HQ out here, so it would be good to have Stavka built up. But I would have to cancel a production build, wouldn't I? Which I could do. So I think on the next turn, we'll see. No, this month is okay. It's the month of April, right? Yeah, it is the month of April. So I do not have to worry about that. Yeah. All right. I will now switch over to the Western Allied powers. We'll start with the Mediterranean front production. And they're at 35. So that's going to be 7 dice rolls. I don't have any more units in the Mediterranean front that are consuming desert maintenance, which is a huge relief. So all these units have the little orange marker, right? The Mediterranean front marker. And these E units, they needed the special basing, right, which they do have from Algiers. So basically they don't suffer from any supply constraints, in other words. And so on top of that, we finally moved our Supreme HQ to the Mediterranean front. And so now we have 2 HQs here, plus infantry. We can actually, launch an offensive from Tunisia. I'm actually feeling more confident that this time. But it's clear that I think we need to, the Africa Corps is out here, so we need to have both the right flank and the left flank being able to push, because the Africa Corps can't be at 2 places at the same time. That's the only way I think we're going to win, because there's no guarantee that we actually win the battle in a 1v1. So let's do the dice rolls. 666. So we got a 4143. 666. So let's see. That's 5 plus 7 is, what is that? 5 plus 7 is 12. Plus another 18. That's 30 production points. Interesting. With 30 production points, what do we build? We have a lot to work with. So I'm going to build up this HQ. That's a 10. We can also build up our Supreme HQ over here. That's another 10. That leaves us with only 10 left. Not a whole lot, actually. Not as much as I had hoped. You know what? So I'll cancel this build. I think I'm going to cancel that build. So we spent 10, we have 20 right now. Kind of want to start building up more units. I think we can build up this infantry. That's 6. This mountain unit costs 8. So that's going to put us at 14. And then I have another infantry here that I can build up. Boom. Just like that. That's all we can afford, which seems reasonable. It does. It does seem reasonable. Okay. That's all we got. that's all we really have right now. We haven't even attacked Tobruk yet. That's fine. We're gonna just have to be steady with it. It's gonna take a little while longer before I think we actually can make a move. I gotta remind myself that I can transfer over half the production from the Western Front to the Mediterranean front. So that actually gives us 15 more. Oof, okay, with 15 more we can do more. So let's build up this unit. That's gonna leaves us with 10. And now I actually think we can attack. I think we will be able to attack Tobruk on this turn. So let's do that. I think the axis, the Rommel's Africa Corps is out of range. I don't think they're going to be able to easily attack us. At least I presume that they cannot. So that's important to know. So anyways, so that means that on the Western Front, if I'm transferring over 15 and I think it's 28, that leaves me with 13 left on the Western Front. And with that 13, it's kind of an odd number. I think I'm just going to save that production. I think I can do that. Actually, that's a good question, and I'm not really sure. So, we're going to have to pull up those rules. And the rule I'm specifically looking for is something having to do with whatchamacallit. The thing with the thing, and the thing with the thing. It has to do with Mediterranean front production, pretty much. Mediterranean front production is where? Soviets. Here we go. Mediterranean front production. And then we're talking about the special production rules. We gain more production. MF building. And then I think it's MF basing. Highlight units. Oh, no. Basing, dual basing, standard basing. Dual basing. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, allied units in the Mediterranean front that can trace supplies by both the above methods can build using Western Front and or Mediterranean front production points in any combination. Right. Pretty much it's just more coming from the left. So I'm trying to figure out. I think they did use Western Front production. That's what I'm trying to say. So that means that I have really no choice but to spend something here on the Western Front. And let's go ahead and build up this HQ. We still haven't achieved naval supremacy just yet. Which is a dang shame because I really want to make amphibious invasions. The only problem is that we're kind of out of range. And this British unit is not at full strength yet. So that's the only problem I see. So maybe I do focus on that. Cancel this build. Right, I said 13. Let's build this guy up. So then that's going to cost 4. That leaves us with 9. And then maybe I can rebuild a lost unit, perhaps. I think the allied infantry cost more, don't they? They cost, yeah, they do. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have this unit be built in the Mediterranean front, right? In fact, it's restricted, so I have no choice but to build it. Okay. So with 8 left, or with 9 left, I'm just not really sure what more I want to build up. Dang nabbit. No, so it just makes sense to build up this HQ instead. And then with that remaining 3, just go ahead and build up I guess a militia unit. I'm not sure what else to build up. Kind of awkward production for the Western Allied powers. Not the most efficient production. I'm thinking, but I want to prioritize Mediterranean front, right? Unless I don't send as much production over there. Maybe I cancel 5. Yeah, I'm going to cancel this 5. And that means that we could build up this guy. We have 4 left. And then with the remaining 4, let's just build up this infantry here. Boom. All right. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so slow moves, but we can now switch over to the Axis, and this turn is not going to be very eventful, but it is in that moment in the conflict where you can't really tell who's winning the war. Like, there's no turning point anymore, right? Like, this is technically before the turning point in the Battle of the Atlantic, which occurred in May 1943, but this was also post-Stalingrad. And I guess in the Pacific Theater, things were a little bit more obvious, but the Guadalcanal campaign, I believe, ended already. I actually have no idea about that. I usually study the Eastern Front, the European theater, but the Pacific theater is really big, and these campaigns took a while. But the Guadalcanal campaign, I think it did end. Yeah, it did end by now. It was February 9th. So that did happen around the same time that Stalingrad was happening. You can almost make it analogous to the Japanese Stalingrad pretty much. But then after that, you would have a long campaign, still many, many battles ahead before the Allies eventually dropped the nuclear bomb on Japan. So anyways, we're switching back to the Axis, and I got to figure out what the situation is. This is technically pre-battle of Kursk historically, but in our session, it's been more of a back and forth. Both sides have been contesting the center, and I would say that they've been pretty evenly matched. Although the Red Army showed to be more able in the winter, but the Germans were a little slower to respond, but they did respond, and it seemed to work. And right now, the Germans have a lot of units, full strength, stacked up, ready. I mean, they have several panzer groups here. I count 6 oh wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Panzer Corps. I mean, this is probably the equivalent of, I would say about 3 Panzer armies right now. Panzer groups, Panzer armies. Maybe historically there'd be 2 at this point, but they're much bigger. I made sure that the German Panzer armies to be actual armies. So not just 2 Panzer Corps, but 3. And make sure, because you need the extra tanks to go toe-to-toe with the Soviet armor, pretty much. That's what I've learned. Historically, the Panzer armies were a lot smaller. Well, they were 2 Panzer Corps, but they typically were smaller, and they were lesser equipped because the Germans just were dealing with a lot of shortages. But I guess over here you have a Panzer group, the standard Panzer group. No, it's another Panzer army, because I have 3 Panzer Corps right there. So the only thing to really focus on, I think, is to try to get these mountain units to the south. I think that's my goal for 1943, pretty much. Get these units to the south, but it's going to take a while. I can move this unit to this area here and then move it via rail, which I think is what I'm going to do. And then this guy has to move either we haven't not taken Soroka. And I haven't even bothered like trying to take it. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to try to pull out, but it's going to take several turns. So I'm going to go ahead and build up D-Tool and Mannerheim. The Mannerheim HQ is going to be responsible for moving this Finnish reinforcement to essentially replace the units that we're pulling out, because the Soviets could, in theory, still launch an amphibious invasion across, right? So the chances of them succeeding are low, but I want a unit protecting Murmansk for sure. And then likewise, we're going to need another unit over here protecting Petsamo, otherwise we lose supplies. So yeah, that's 10 build on the Eastern Front. We still have 82. Very, very, very solid Eastern Front production. Yeah, I hope that I did that right. I'm wondering if I really hope I did not miscount the Axis production. But I kind of want to double check real quick. I think it is what it is right now, because we have 3 from Finland, 9 with Leningrad, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. I mean, I count about 29 production just on the Eastern Front. It should be an even number. So if I count that one more time, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, I think it was another 14. Okay, I think it's 28. I'm gonna go with 28 production. Plus the 54 by default. And yeah, you're looking at about 82. And then on the Western Front, since 1941, since we're now in the next winter, they gained 5 in the December 1941, another 5 in summer 1942, and then another 5 in winter 1942. So the Western Front production from 17 should be up at like 32, and it is. It's at 31 because we lost Tunis. So that everything adds up. Everything's adding up right now. So yeah, we have a lot of Eastern Front production. So and I think that's the one difference that we have in our game, probably than the historical game. The German army's casualties have been a lot lower in 1942. There was no Stalingrad equivalent. The Leningrad battle was very swift, and then also we did. I should say, I don't know what I'm saying. We did suffer losses at this Battle of Kursk, right? But I guess we didn't really suffer heavy casualties anywhere else on the front. That was the only part of the front that we suffered losses. So maybe that's the difference. It's hard to say. It's hard to say without any clear data, but stay tuned. So anyways, we have, what is that? I spent 10 plus another 8 there. That's 18. I'm going to build up these 2 Finnish units. And then with 18 from an original 82, I think that leaves me with what? About 64, I think, is the number that I'm looking for. 64 production points left, right? Yeah, that's right. So anyways, 64. What do I want to build up? I don't think I have a whole lot to really build up. Our HQs are at full strength. They're looking really good. I could build up, I guess, the reserve units. I already deployed them. Holy moly. Okay, so we do have a little bit more to build up. 2 more here. That brings us down to 56. Minus another 12 over here. 56 minus 12 is 44. This HQ, that's 34. Man, I don't think I have anything really more to build up. That's really weird. German army is just really strong right now on the Eastern Front, which I never would have expected. That all our units are being built up. And I have 34 production points still left over. Here's another Panzer Corps that I can build up. Brings me down to 28. And there's nothing more to build on the Eastern Front. I could build up a dead pile here. This thing costs another 9. That leaves me with 19. That's so weird. I would have never expected that to be the case. I guess I can build up this guy because I have nothing else to build up. And it's going to cost 18 to build it up there, but unless I want to transfer over production to the Western Front, which I don't think I want to do just yet. This fortress unit would be nice to build up, but it's just out of position. I don't want to build it up right there. I'd rather plop it in Kursk. I think that's the best place to put it and build it up there. And then I think we may have a good chance at I don't know if we can push on Baku, but I may even try to cut off Baku. We'll see. But it all depends on how well we can protect our flanks. And so we need fortress units over here. Definitely. And then at some point, relieving these units will be nice. But it's only until we actually take Sevastopol. So there's that as well. So anyways, with 18 left, I'm thinking maybe we even transfer, or 19 left, maybe we should transfer over some to the Western Front, or Mediterranean Front perhaps. That leaves me with 8, and I don't know what more to build. Still, 8 is not enough. Like 8 is a lot too much to throw out. Might as well build it up on something. I guess I'll build it up on these 2 infantry, but since they're locked in over there, I don't see the point. Yeah, I don't see the point. Very strange. Well, it's clear to me that we have almost no choice but to launch an offensive on the Eastern Front with the German army. I don't think there's no other thing to do because we literally have all our units at full strength. The problem I'm having is not that we don't have enough production, is that I don't have enough manpower. Right? So I need more HQs. I don't have enough HQs right now. It's a pain in the neck, but I just don't have enough HQs. Problem on the Western Front is that our units are under strength. We don't have enough production. So this may be the turn. I think this is really weird for me to do it, but I might just transfer over production to the Western Front. But I don't want to do that. I want to maximize the Eastern Front because I know it's costly. So it's weird. It's a very weird situation. Anyways, Western Front production for the Axis is 31. And with that 31, let's go ahead and build up OKW. Build up this armored unit. That's already 18. I'm down to 13. And that's not a lot. That's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Do I get any more reinforcements? Probably. Ooh, we get some armored units. Ooh, these armored units are kind of nice. I may even want to leave them on the Western Front, which I know is ridiculous to say, but I might deploy them there in Italy, northern Italy. We'll do that. So we have an armored unit, basically a panzer unit in every sector. The problem is that they're under strength, and they need to be built up. So the German solution for everything, the Wehrmacht solution for every strategic problem they have is panzers. Just build more panzers. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're just gonna build up the panzers, but they need to be built up. They're pretty much useless under strength, and all the other units are pretty useless at that too. So so I think then it makes perfect sense then to transfer over production from the Eastern Front to the Western Front, especially if we're not using our armor. I mean, next turn, there's an incentive for me to activate all 5 HQs, right? And then I can sustain some casualties as well. That's also going to happen. But unfortunately, I don't have enough HQs to fully activate everywhere. We just don't have enough HQs in general, which is really a nuisance. So, yeah, that's all that. But I mean, we're getting there. Our defense is not completely useless. I kind of want this fortress unit to be built up, though. So, anyways, I spent 10 there, 18. I think I have one more HQ left, don't I? I do. I have 10 more production points left. I spent 10, 18, spent 3. Yeah, we still have 10 more, which is actually pretty good. I could focus on infantry or on HQs. Kind of want to focus on HQs. But our defenses are looking, they're mediocre, but at least they look very imposing, which is good. Be nice to focus on infantry, right? The Allies, oh, they actually could land in Reggio, I just realized. Oof. And we couldn't stop them. That'd actually be really awkward. I just realized there's a little gaping hole in our defense. That's probably a good place to put an Italian unit, actually. Do I have any Italians to build? Do not. Dang nabbit. Okay, you know what? We could build up some Italians. I'm gonna build up this guy. Actually, no. Build up this guy over here. And I can build up more militia. No, scratch that. We're just gonna focus on an HQ build. Probably build up this HQ here. There you go. Or we focus on infantry. HQ, infantry, infantry, HQ. Not sure which is the best. But I gotta say that we're looking pretty good. Anyways, Mediterranean front production. Roll dice there. We get 10 plus another 11 is 21. I think we had a little bit saved up from last turn as well. We did. So 21 plus 18, that's 39. That's a lot. Plenty to build up. 10 there, 5 here, 15 plus another 4, that's 19. And then I think 19 plus another 18. And just like that, you know, our Africa force is pretty much at full strength. So I think we've kind of set the stage for final defense of North Africa. Nice. All right, so that's that. I think we can start the game turn itself. And it's going to be a slow turn, folks. But the Axis do have the initiative on the Eastern Front. And I think what I'm going to do, I mean, there really isn't much more to do. I could advance my units forward. Maybe we actually set up a defensive line up here in the north. That would be interesting. That'd be super interesting. It'd be very hard for the Soviets to attack as well. Or we just hold on to this sector of Kursk as it is. We decide not to push up. I mean, either way is fine. I mean, if we push up, I mean, I kind of like having the defense that we have now. You know, I kind of like our current defense. The only other thing to do on the Eastern Front, I mean, unless we want to make a push on Moscow, that's the only real option we have on the Eastern Front, is to push on Moscow. But I don't recommend chasing the Red Army. If anything, we need to prioritize in the southern sector. Take Sevastopol. That is what takes priority. So let's do that. Let's transfer units over there. Activate OKH. These guys can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, so there's another strategic move. That was 3. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 4. Transfer another infantry, or maybe another armor. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. And then I got one more move. Oh, you know what? Cancel that. This guy, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. And then lastly, move the fortress unit there to Kursk. Boom. Not bad. And then I'll leave it in Warsaw. And then if we switch over to the Allies, I think the Soviets are probably going to pass their turn. Yeah, I think the Soviets are going to pass. The Western Allied powers, they have a little bit of moves that we can do. I think I'm going to activate this HQ, Supreme HQ. We got 4 supreme moves on the Mediterranean front. We're we're going to move this HQ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we got to go like 9, 10 like that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Oh, hold on. We don't need to move this guy. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to move this unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that one. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Not bad. It's okay. Yeah, the moves could be better, but they're alright. I'm also going to activate this HQ. It's going to do C invasion. But it's just going to move this one unit to Algiers right over there. Just like that. Boom. And then I think this unit, we're going to have this unit move via rail. No, it's fine where it's at. I'm just realizing that Tunisia is not the best place to launch an amphibious invasion. Thought it would be. Well, we can still make an attack on Oregio. Okay. We'll switch over to the axis on this turn. Western front axis, that is. And we are going to activate OKW. And then we need to move some units south, right? So I'm going to go like this. One move there. Yeah, the allies are out of range. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, actually, I'll move this infantry right over to Naples. So 1, 2. Here's another move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 3 supreme moves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 3 rather. And then could use more militia. One more militia unit. So you move this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it's out of range. May have to do 2 moves. Be nice to protect southern France. So I think I'm going to do that. And then move this guy to... Guess we'll leave it in Amsterdam. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. And now, as far as the Mediterranean front moves, I mean, Tripoli is vulnerable right now. Tripoli is vulnerable to the Allies pretty much. So I don't know if we should, put our Panzer Corps somewhere to be in range of either one. It's hard to say. Kind of want to leave them in this port of Benghazi for now. Can activate this unit, and then maybe deploy this Italian unit right there, just to slow down the Allies a bit. Play the delay game. Yeah, we'll do that. All right. I think the main strategy right now for the Axis will be to withdraw from Libya in one piece. Try to get this Africa Corps into southern Italy, and if we can move it to the Italian boot, we're gonna have very strong defense of Italy. I'm gonna feel pretty confident of our defense there. So, anyways, that's OKW. And then now we can switch over to the next fortnight, and it's going to be uneventful. I know the Axis are going to pass. Soviets are definitely going to pass. And I'm pretty sure the Western Allied powers, I think everybody's going to pass on this turn pretty much. Because, I take it back. We're going to switch back to the Allies. And there is one thing the Allies can do right now, which is launch an all-out attack on Tobruk. Let's go ahead and do that. Maybe we should blitz on Tobruk. I don't think we really need to. I feel confident that we can take it in one turn. So I'm going to avoid doing that, actually. Yeah. But we will attack with airstrikes. And let's see how this goes. If we can take Tobruk on this turn, that would be great. So Italians have 2. We'll roll dice. 1 half hit. Italians roll 2. They score a hit. We've got double fire with the mech in the desert terrain. Okay, we just need to get one more hit. Dang it. Boom. Okay, so we scored a hit. So we haven't taken Tobruk. Dang it, I think we may be vulnerable to an Axis counteroffensive. That's what I was worried about. So you know what? We're gonna go ahead and, oh man. Just realized, I think the British made another big mistake here. I may have made a terrible mistake with the British. If we switch back to the Axis on this turn, the Axis do have an opportunity. I mean, they might not. I think I'm going to pass for the Axis on this turn. I'm going to pass. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see y'all in the next video. But pretty uneventful turn overall. With that, peace out.